There's always a very, very vocal small group of white people that live in this alternative reality where white people are oppressed, right? I had a friend of mine say to me, I'll never forget this conversation. One of my friends said to me, and you know, I genuinely thought he was a smart guy, but I guess not, because he was like, yeah man, like, you know, black people have BET, Black Entertainment Channel and everything, and like, other races have other channels. Why can't we have a whites-only channel, bro? Are you serious? That's why you think you're being oppressed? You don't have your own personal channel? They're serious when they make that point. They think, oh, got him. We don't have our own channel. It's obviously discrimination against whites. No, you dumbass. You have to look at history, and you have to look at context, and you have to look at perspective. And if you're not a close-minded, ethnocentric, egocentric douchebag who's incapable of rational thought, then you quickly come to the conclusion, well, hey, wait a second here. Turns out that white people enslaved black people in the past. There is a history of violence and oppression and suppression against black people, and they have been institutionally disenfranchised throughout history, even up to and beyond the 1960s. That's right, in your parents' lifetimes, there was still open discrimination, and still to a certain extent, there is open discrimination against black people and minorities. Right? So why do they get their own little special channel? Because, motherfucker, you have everything else. You have all of the institutional power within society. Affirmative action has worked just fine for white people for years and years and years and generations and generations and generations. And then all of a sudden, when we finally try to revert this through effective government policy that says, well, you know what, look, I mean, white people have had affirmative action forever, so why not reverse it for just a little bit until we even out the playing field again, right? And make it so that, even, whatever, 1 point or 2 points on a test, we're going to accept black students and Asian students, etc., right? And white people flip the fuck out. Dumbass, egocentric, ethnocentric, selfish, white motherfuckers flip out. Because they're not capable. See, this is what white people historically have not been able to do. And look, I know I'm generating a lot of people who are going to disagree with me on this one, but I don't care. Because what I'm saying is true. Right? And I'm white, so look, if anybody has free reign to talk about shit like this, it's me. White people, historically, are just not capable, particularly in the U.S., we just are not capable of stepping outside of our own mindset for 1 second and putting the shoe on the other foot and thinking, well, wait a second, what would it have been like to grow up as a black person in a previous generation or grow up as a black person today, right? I mean, they make 80 cents to the white person's dollar for the exact same work. You know, what's it like to be in their shoes? But no, because they have one TV channel that's all theirs, we need to flip out, and white people need their own TV channel also. Look, you have to weigh context, you have to weigh history into account when you think about issues like this. You need to realize that if you have had power forever and always, that it's not such a terrible thing if the power starts to be evenly distributed. It's like, remember when Mitt Romney said when that 47% tape was released, he said one thing which was fascinating. I mean, he said a lot of things that were just ridiculous and fascinating during that tape. But one part wasn't talked about a lot, which I thought was really telling, right? He says, oh yeah, you know, if I had grown up in Mexico or something, like if I was, because I guess he has ancestors down the line that grew up in Mexico, right? He's like, oh, well, you know, if I was more Mexican, I'd have a better chance at winning the election. How does that make any sense? We've had one person be President of the United States of America. That's not white. It's over a 90% chance. White people have won over 90% of the time. And here's Mitt Romney saying, oh, if only I was a minority, I'd be able to get ahead. I mean, these people are just little babbling children. Anybody who thinks like this idiot at Towson University who started the White Student Union, anybody who thinks like this guy, Matthew Heimbach, they're just hopelessly idiotic. And look, I'll take it a step further, man. All these guys, because you know what it all boils down to. It really does all boil down to the fact that they think they're superior. There's still a small group of white people that think they're superior to other races. And it's easy to tear down that myth with just one example from history, or just one explanation about history. As of right now, the United States of America is the world's sole empire, right? Nobody really denies that, okay? And if at any point in history beforehand you had stopped the clock and looked at who was the superpower, right? So when there was the Ottoman Empire, when there was the Turkish Empire, when there was, any of a number of different empires, there were empires in Africa, for example. Throughout history in the past, there were, Chinese empires, etc. Whoever was the world superpower had all of the institutional power, and they were the ones who were basically ruling over everybody else, right? If you pause the clock at any time in the past, people would have thought, well, obviously Chinese people are superior. They have everything. They had to have earned it. Or when it was an African empire, well, obviously black people are superior. Or when it was, a Turkish empire, obviously Turkish people are superior. No. That has nothing to do with intelligence. And this is what the dumbasses, look, it's definitely not all whites, but it's a small group of white people who just are trying to cling to power because they really feel like they're entitled and they're superior. And that's the ironic thing, is they talk about minorities and black people like, oh, you feel like you're entitled, right? No, you feel like you're entitled. Look at Mitt Romney. Look at the campaign he ran. I mean, he tried to run his whole campaign on, hey, Obama's black guys, hello, I'm the white guy. I deserve to be there. I'm Mitt Romney. My father was rich and I'm rich. Don't you get I'm entitled to the White House?